This is my oral explanation of introspection for week 7, chapter 9. Hi everybody, my name is Katie Beck, and I will be doing an oral explanation of introspection this week for chapter 9. So the textbook essentially has 3 definitions of introspection so far. Depending on what chapter you look at, they're all essentially the same. So in chapter 2, from the context of Plato, it states that introspection is the careful examination of one's subjective experiences. Chapter 3's definition is related to Augustine and defines it as the examination of one's inner experiences. And then lastly, chapter 9's glossary states that introspection is reflection on one's own subjective experience, whether such reflection is directed towards the detection of the presence or absence of a sensation, or towards the detection of complex thought processes. So, like I said, they're all essentially the same, just with a different context. So, Plato thought introspection was important for attaining accurate knowledge. Augustine was of the opinion that introspection was a key way of finding God. And as we learned in this chapter, many psychologists use different forms of introspection for research purposes. So, basically, what the many definitions mean to me is that introspection is exactly what it sounds like. So, we look internally at our experiences to give them meaning. Like the textbook definitions say, these experiences are subjective, which means everyone has their own interpretation of their experiences and the meanings behind it. If everyone experienced the same thing in the same way, there would be very little, if any, need for introspection. So, as similar as the definitions in the book sound, we will also see that the use of introspection was broad, especially in chapter 9. So Wundt used what he called experimental introspection, which he considered more objective, precise, and measurable, similar to methods that physiologists and psychophysicists used in their studies. Then Titchener took this structured form that Wundt used of introspection further and even trained what he called introspectionists. The goal of introspection in Titchener's research was to report sensations of stimuli, not the perceptions of them. So you would see an apple and not call it an apple, you'd call it round or smooth or shiny. The next psychologist in the textbook described using introspection was Brentano, and in a very different way from Wundt or Titchener. Brentano used what was called phenomenological methods, which the textbook defines as the type of introspection analysis that focuses on intact mental phenomenon rather than isolated mental experiences, or mental elements, And lastly, we have Kolbe. He used a more complex version of introspection where he assessed this before, throughout, and after tasks that he assigned to participants because he believed that not all thoughts had to come from an image, whether it was real or imagined. So, as we have learned, introspection can come in many forms, but its premise is the same, to look internally to assess our experiences in one way or another. So this is beneficial as a psychology because we can study how people assess different experiences. That's all I have. Thank you.